I should've told you that I loved you every night. Oh, that's on my mind. I should've told you that I loved you one more time.
Hi everyone, it's Kiersten. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so if you can't tell from the title, this video is a little bit different than what I usually do, but it's something I've been wanting to post for a while now actually. And I've been kind of pondering a new idea on my channel. Also, excuse the lawnmower in the back. So I decided I wanted to start a series called Big Sister Talks. So basically I was thinking about my older sister Marissa and how I've gone to every little thing I've gone through. I'm kind of dramatic, and I've always turned to her for advice and for help, and you know, she's my big sister. And I was thinking about how a lot of people don't have a big sister in their life. They don't have a positive older role model in their life to kind of give them advice on things. So it got me thinking about how I could kind of create a series on my channel talking about different topics that I feel like I can give some advice on, different experiences I've gone through, any questions that, you know, you guys might have, you can ask in the comments, you can DM me on Instagram, whatever you're feeling, you know? I just kind of want to have conversations about things that I think need to be talked about more. But yeah, so basically that's this new series on my channel, and I hope you guys kind of follow along and participate in it because I want to just feel like a conversation between us. This lawnmower is gonna drive me insane. Okay, but yeah, feel free to grab a blanket, grab a drink, whatever you're feeling, and I'm just gonna talk to you guys, okay? This is a topic I feel very passionate about, I guess, because it's been the biggest kind of influence in my life the past year. So basically, for anyone who doesn't really know, I was in a relationship for 3 years with a person who I was best friends with for like 8 years, and things ended in like August, so it's been about 9 months since the breakup. And I mean, that's a long relationship, and it was a very serious relationship, and it's honestly been the most serious thing in my life and the most influential part of my life so far. So obviously you can imagine a breakup with someone that significant in your life. It leaves a big impact on you. This past year for me has honestly been really challenging in, you know, the terms of mental health and like getting over things and moving on and healing myself without really any closure on a situation. I've learned through different activities kind of what makes me feel better and how I'm healing myself and kind of just growing as a person overall. And yeah, so I'm kind of I want to talk you guys through what I did to kind of get there. I want to start off by saying two things. If you clicked on this video, most likely you are going through a breakup, and I first just want to say I'm so sorry. I know the feeling. It is the absolute worst feeling in the world possible, and it feels like your world is crashing down around you and there's literally nothing you can do about it. But I want to say I promise it gets better, and just keep going. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Healing is not a linear process. It's very up and down. Days are, you know, some days are better than others, but just trust that you're doing the best you can. And if you're watching this video, you're already doing something to better yourself and grow as a person, so kudos to you for that. And the second thing I want to say is I don't want anyone thinking that in any way this is anything against my ex-boyfriend. I have nothing but love and respect for him as a person. I wish him nothing but the best. So if you were clicking on this video thinking this is going to be something bashing him, it's not, so don't expect that either. Alright, anyways, without further ado, let's jump right into the video on the tips and tricks that I've developed in the past year to help me heal after the breakup. Alright, so I'm sure you've heard this before, and you'll definitely hear it again if you're watching any videos on breakups, but the #1 best thing I did for myself was journaling. So I started journaling probably when I moved to Texas, and that was around the same time of my breakup. And I, you know, would just journal anytime I was feeling upset, I was feeling happy, I was feeling any emotion, I would write it down in my journal. And what's so great about it is you can literally say whatever you want without judgment and just get whatever you're feeling off your chest. So I listen to music usually when I journal. Love Olivia Rodrigo's new album. It's literally spoke to me this year. But yeah, I'll just journal about it and kind of write down what I'm feeling. Kind of going along with that a little bit, I think it's super important to cut off communication with your ex as well. I know that's like the hardest thing. That was the hardest thing for me for sure, was cutting off communication. But I think it's super important so you're not constantly talking and reliving those emotions day after day after day. You really need to just like cut it off and take time for yourself, as challenging as it is, and just trust that whatever's meant to be will be. But at the same time, I know it's hard when you lose your person in your life and you want to talk to them. Especially, you know, I think one of the weirdest things this past year is I've had a lot of big milestones in my life, and the person I would want to tell first, I can't talk to. One of the things that I've also done is anytime I felt like I wanted to talk to him, I would write down in my journal something that I would say to him, or write him, you know, a letter or whatever, and just kind of keep it for me. And you can also like look back on this later and kind of, you know, reevaluate like your feelings and how you were feeling at that time versus now, and it kind of shows growth over a period of time. But I thought it's been a really helpful thing for me. Every time that I'm sad about it or I feel like I want to talk to him, I'll just like write to him, kind of. Another thing that I've done, and I've done this the past few years, not just with my breakup, but it's definitely helped the most with my breakup, and that's seeing a counselor or a therapist, whatever, you know, works for you. I think they're pretty similar. I don't know why there's still like a cliche against going to see a therapist and talking about your feelings, but it's been so incredibly helpful. I have the best counselor. I talk to her like sometimes once a week, sometimes once every couple of weeks, and just kind of talk through my feelings, and someone that's unbiased and someone that's literally just letting me talk, and she's gonna listen and give me advice on how to heal myself. And I think it's just super helpful, worth the time and effort. A lot of them are covered by insurance, so you only have to pay a small copay every time you go. Even if you just go for 1 or 2 sessions to just have someone listen to you talk, I think it's so worth it. Alright, so a lot of people that know me personally know I've gotten super into fitness this past year, and that's definitely been a result of the breakup. I kind of turned to fitness as a way to better myself. When I was really upset or angry or whatever feeling, I would just go to the gym and kind of, I guess, put it out on the weights. I just think it is so important to move your body. You will feel, I guarantee you will feel better after you go work out. The endorphins after are just the best feeling, and also you just know that you're going to better yourself and you're improving yourself every single day. Because when it feels like your life is falling apart after a breakup, you know, it feels like it'll never get better than what it was. Well, when you go to the gym and you start to see these improvements and you start to eat healthier and whatever you might be doing, you start to improve your own health and you start loving yourself even deeper because you start doing something that's really good for you, and you start valuing your health and valuing yourself and your state of mind. And I just think the gym is the #1 most empowering thing, especially females, can do, because you go into the gym and you start lifting these heavy weights. I recommend doing it. I'm going to be making some more videos on how to start getting into the gym for the first time for people that might feel a little intimidated, don't know where to start, whatever. That's going to be one of the future talks on here, so stay tuned for that. Alright, the next suggestion I have is listening to some podcasts. I'm not like huge into podcasts, but every time I was feeling kind of upset, I wanted to turn to them, and I found a couple really good ones I wanted to share. I'll link these all below too. I think you can do that off Spotify. Okay, so the first one is called In Your Feelings by Thought Catalog. That's a really good one after breakup and like moving on and healing. Okay, my other favorite is called New Mindset Who Dis by Case Kenny. If you're not following him on Instagram, go follow him immediately. Listen to his podcast. He's amazing. He has to be like one of my favorites. He's so good, and his, you know, mentality about everything is just so positive. I love his posts. And then the third one is called How to Get Over Your Ex by Coach Dorothy, Breakup Coach Dorothy. And I found this one, and I'm telling you, she is so good. Some of the questions she asks, you're like, oh my god, like I didn't even think of that, you know? It changes your whole mentality, so I love listening to her podcast. And she has her own personal experience she brings into her podcast, so it's just really good listening, and I always feel better after listening to one. So go check those out if you're feeling upset or whatever. Start listening to those on your drive, cooking. I do it cooking a lot. whatever you're feeling. All right, another suggestion I have is trying something new. So this kind of goes along with like working out for me. I mean, working out was not new for me, but doing it as serious as I was definitely new. I'm getting into CrossFit right now. That's a new experience. Just whatever you're feeling. So maybe it's something that you like talked about doing in your relationship, but you just never got to doing. So another thing for me this year that's kind of funny is I was always a super picky eater, and I would just like turn my nose up to anything that I was like, ew, that doesn't look good, whatever. And this past year I've been really trying to try new foods and expanding my palate. So like, for example, the other night I had salmon over rice with, I think, Brussels sprouts, and you could not pay me to try like salmon like at this time last year. Like, I would not do it. I love sushi, but other than that, like, no. And I tried it and it was really good. And you know, I'm just kind of like pushing my boundaries a little bit with stuff like that. Slowly by slowly, as you do stuff like this, you'll see the growth that you'll experience over time, and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like a whole new person just trying something new that you didn't think that you would try before. Another suggestion, I think a lot of times with breakups, especially like I know on TikTok, there's like a lot of like breakup videos that will come up and they'll say like, oh, I feel so good, like, oh, it's been 2 months and look at me, you know, out here doing this and doing that. But I'll say it took me like a solid 6 months to get into a place where I felt okay again, where I started feeling more like myself, you know, where I could hear his name and not burst into tears. For some people, it might just take like a month or whatever, or less time than that, I guess. But for me, it's been a super, super long process. And I've kind of just accepted that. I think that there's so much pressure to get over breakups and to heal quickly because you want that pain to go away. But know that it's okay to just be sad. Like, even if it's been a year and you suddenly see something that reminds you of them, or it's their birthday, or it's your anniversary, whatever it may be. Or you know what, it could even be a random day. Like, it doesn't need to be a special date. But if you're sad, it's okay to just let yourself be sad and cry it out. Listen to sad music, write, sleep, watch a movie. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be so hard on yourself and expect to get better. Because I feel like my process, it's been like this. And then it was a little great, and then bad, good, bad, good, bad, whatever. You know what I mean? You get the point. It's definitely been very up and down. And it's just gonna be like that. Like, that's the reality of the situation. It's with every kind of grieving process that you have. And I think a lot of people don't also acknowledge, like, a breakup, especially with someone you were really serious with, it is a loss. You know, that person's not in your life anymore, so you are grieving the loss of that spot that they held in your life and the memories you created with that person. And it's really like they're not there anymore. It's hard for your mind to process that because they really are there, but they're not, you know, at the same time. So it's kind of confusing, I think. So the other thing I think a lot of people, it's kind of conflicted on. Obviously every person's very different, but I think the whole dating after a breakup, some people do it, it helps them move on. Some people don't date for a while, like whatever, do what you want to do. But I can just speak from my own personal experience. I went, I think, on like a couple dates like a month and a half or 2 months after the breakup, but it was not good for me personally. Like, I was just really sad after going on the dates. Like, I was just thinking about my ex the whole time, so it just wasn't a good experience for me. Like, I wasn't at the place where I was ready to date. And probably at that like 6-month mark, I was like, okay, now I'm ready to like consider dating again. Not that I'm dating anyone. I had to get to a point where I was okay with myself enough to open up that door. Because I think a lot of times when you're healing, you just are really missing the comfort that that person brought you, the laughs you had with that person, and just the overall like presence of being with someone. After you get out of it, you quickly want to fill that hole that you feel. And I feel like sometimes it might work, but a lot of times it'll never match up to what you had and what you experienced, and it'll just leave you feeling more empty. I feel like that's kind of how it made me feel. Like, I wasn't ready. I had to learn to love myself more, which I feel like I've done this past year quite a bit, and I just wasn't at that point at that time. So, you know, here's to saying you can totally go out and date if you want to. There's no judgment. Every person is so different. Like I said, everyone has a different healing process, but don't feel pressure to go date if you don't feel like it. And just be aware that it probably won't make you feel better like everyone thinks and says it does. For me, it didn't make me feel any better to go out and date. It's okay to feel selfish. after a breakup and take time for you. Go on dates, whatever, but like don't necessarily jump right into a new relationship. I think it's so valuable to take time to be single, especially after you've been in a relationship for a really long time. Just take the time for you and take the time to learn what you want and grow as a person and be selfish. Go to the gym as much as you want, work as much as you want, sleep as much as you want, like spend time with your friends, like go do what you want. Deal with the extremely uncomfortable emotions that you're going to be experiencing. It's okay, it's normal. I promise it gets better, I swear. Okay, so the last little suggestion I have for you, obviously is not the most practical for the majority of people, but for me, it was one of the best things that I did, and that's to move. So obviously if you're in high school or whatever, like you can't exactly just move. I just think there's so much value in traveling and exploring new areas. And this past year especially, I've been to a lot of different places. I mean, I went to Texas for 3 months, went home for a month and a half, moved to DC for 3.5 months, went home for 2 weeks. Now I'm here in Vancouver for the next 2 months. And it's been crazy, but it's been amazing, and I've gotten to see so many new places and meet so many incredible people and make so many new friends, and I've loved it. It's helped me grow so much, and I'm not constantly surrounded by the area that my ex and I had our relationship. When I was home in the winter and even going home a few weeks ago, it's just really hard, especially being from a small town, to be surrounded by things that remind me of him and experiences that we had together and memories we made together. They're just literally everywhere, all over the town. I think there's so much value in just getting out and allowing yourself to heal in a different way in a new place. I think it kind of protects yourself a little bit. So if you're in a situation you're considering moving or whatever, this is your sign. Do it. Figure out any way that you can move. If someone offers you a little opportunity, take it. If you can travel somewhere for a couple weeks, take it. If you have family, go ask to stay with them. That's what I'm doing. I stayed with my sister in Texas. I'm staying with my brother here in Washington. So just go for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's scary at first, and then you get here and you figure it out. And I think there's so much value in that. And it's really, really been the most beneficial thing I could have done for myself. So there's that. Alright, so I hope some of those suggestions are helpful to you guys. I want to definitely be making more videos kind of surrounding this topic, as I mentioned. And just let me know if you have any thoughts or comments in the comments below. If you have any other questions, literally DM me. I love chatting with new people and meeting new people, making new friends. This is just really fun for me. I love doing this kind of stuff, and I've been wanting to make this, but I've kind of chickened out for a while, but I'm just going for it. Please like this video, subscribe, and you know, again, just know it's gonna be okay. I promise. There are gonna be really, really bad days for sure, but there's also gonna be amazing days. And there's so much you have yet to explore, people you have not met yet, experiences you haven't had. And just look forward to those, you know? Start living every day. It's like a new chapter in your book. I just think that's really exciting. So just kind of working on changing your mentality, implementing a few of these suggestions. They've really helped me. So yeah, I hope you guys all have the best day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!